December 2007, we've had 2.3 million homes going into foreclosure. You know, it's never been that many in an economic downturn. And about 1.3 million homes have been entered into these the government program where you can do a workout with your lender. What I think, though, that program is going to be a failure, because already what we're seeing is over 50% of the borrowers who enter those programs within a year default again. So I think the reality is, if you can't keep your home, you can't keep your home. And probably what needs to happen is we just need to do that level set. Where a lot of people think it's going to come is to about 20%, so home prices are going to drop another 20%. It's going to be a slow drop, though, not a gigantic, not a very fast drop. And that is going to have a negative effect on consumer sentiment, because where most people have their savings is tied up in home equity. And so I think you're going to see consumer sentiment continue to drop until finally people feel like, okay, homes are where they should be.
It's not going to happen because we have 30 million empty homes, and if you have 2.5 people per home, then we need to have something on the order of 75 million people come into the United States to actually take up that excess supply.
Yeah, you know, over the years I've looked a lot at what's known as absorption. So how many people does it take to fill the occupancy of homes or real estate? I actually think there's a lot of people who are in homes now, multi-families in single-family residences, and when they can, they will go back into home ownership.
Downtown Anaheim, it's 12 people per home, and with 3 or 4 families on average.
Yeah.
One home. I mean, you're generalizing the real estate market in the whole United States.
Yes, that's right.
So, I mean, this is not LA figures. I mean, you know, here we have a completely different real estate market. So
yeah, well, you know, well, there's 100 cities in what we call LA, right? And some cities like Anaheim have been really hit. Obviously, parts of Orange County, if you go into the valley, right, really badly hit. And then there's cities like, you know, all around here where we are now, that home prices have held up pretty well. But yeah, this is a national problem.
They've kind of held up. I mean, you know, definitely there's been a 30 or more %, you know, devaluation of homes in this area. I mean, the market lately, you know, from a year ago, you know, or a year and a half ago, you know, homes that were $1 million are down to 6.5.
Right.
But there's also 5 years ago, those houses were 4, you know, so there's still an appreciation.
But there's also that multiple of the average person's salary per capita income. I think it's only safe, the housing market is only safe when it's 4, and when it's 8, then you have crashes that keep coming, and I'm pretty sure it's closer to 8 than 4.
Yeah, in certain parts of the country, right? In the Midwest, it never got as bad as it did here. So going on to just the technology side of things, a couple of things I wanted to point out. One is that, and I've said this for a while, the technology sector really is moderately priced right now, with the exceptions of companies like Netflix and Priceline. Those are the wild outliers. But tech sector is trading at about 11x PE, and while it's not growing at the rates it was in the 90s, it's a much safer bet than it was 5 years ago. So my own view is that you will start to see growth in the tech sector, and part of that's going to be fueled by some of the new businesses that they're going into, and part of it is because the lack of investment over the past 2 to 3 years as a result of the economic meltdown is requiring, at least this year, and beginning this year and next year and the year after, companies to have to begin investing. So even if you look at a company like Google, Google's trading at 12 times PE, 12.5 times PE. Google is a very profitable company, and search traffic's going at about 20% year over year. That's I just think, an indication that we've hit, I believe, a bottom in the pricing of technology stocks, and we'll start to see them ramp up, if not in Q4, then probably next year. Lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about, a lot of you have been hearing about this company, Groupon, and I'm fascinated by it because it's just one more spin on something that's pretty typical, which is a new version of e-tail. There is a company, Groupon, of course, is growing incredibly fast. I think it's tripled its revenues in the last 2 years.
Its Gap deal just brought it to another level, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah, the gap deal. But there is a company, and this reminded me a little bit of the internet era back in like 98, 99, when someone would say they had a URL and their stock would jump 25%. There's a company called Travel Zoo, in the same category, of course, as Priceline, who announced they were doing a Groupon-like business, and their stock, since they announced it in August, is up 80%. 80%. So there are those sorts of innovations can still happen, and of course their market cap is sub 500 million, but it still shows the power of a new idea.
Imagine like those prostitution sites you go to will actually do something like that.
There you go.
Yeah, deal of the day.
Hey, lastly, my partner was at Google.
That's a real Groupon.
My partner was at Google Zeitgeist this week, which is this annual conference where they bring in a lot of people and they chat about what's going to happen at Google and other things related to technology. And there was a lot of rumors going around about how hard it is for Google to maintain its top engineers. And he had heard one story that, of course, you probably all know that Facebook is plundering Google right now. And we see this, right? Google used to do that to Microsoft, and now it's Google getting it done to by Facebook.
How many people have been taken by Facebook?
I don't know the stats, but I just heard it's the top engineers that people want, right? And
Approximately 120. You go, that's according to LinkedIn. You go LinkedIn to see, where people have gone to from that previous job. There's about 124 Google leads that right.
well, the point I was
Just
making.
from Google.
Good stat.
Right.
Thank you.
The interesting point was somebody said, I just don't know if this is true, my partner heard it, that engineers now, if they go, the top ones, if they go to their boss and say, hey, I got a Facebook offer, they're granted $1 million in stock options, vesting over 4 years to retain them. And,
What a cool stat. Thank you.
that is a cool stat.
That's not on
I'll
Facebook.
take my Facebook
Yeah,
stats right away.
And so consider that just one more evidence of how the world works in Silicon Valley. It's always the next hot company that, and by the way, Google is rumored to be going public. They will at some point. Probably Facebook, I'm sorry, probably in 2011. And that's a super enticing prospect for people who are at a company where they feel like, okay, the growth is kind of
saturated.
Google.
Did you hear that the implied market cap of Facebook right now is 33 billion? And what's Google right now?
About 150 billion.
So you have something that actually, people say, well, I'll have half my portfolio in this and half in that. You have an implied 5 times greater likelihood of an increase in your stock from Facebook than Google.
Yeah, if you look, yeah.
Here's the pretty pitches on Facebook. They're saying, well, maybe we get like $100 billion market cap, and you're getting your 1/10%, so that's 100 million.
Do you know, are people saying maybe 100 billion market cap?
Well, they kind of,
Yeah.
Wait till Zuckerberg makes that his status.
Yeah, you can't. You can't say that directly, but that's what they.
Seriously,
Right.
I wonder what happens like to a Mark and the people that work there having public profiles, since they're part of a public company. I wonder how things change.
What's odd,
Yeah,
he
it
only
will
has-
change as they go public.
Zuckerberg only has about 700 friends, which I find very weird. So he's clearly
How many friends do
He's
you
not
have?
really liked.
You have 5,000.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
And they just shut off my ability this morning to make friend requests.
Yeah, does that say you already have enough friends? Are you getting that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You have to defriend now. It's a whole process of who do you not want on.
Well, anyone who disagrees with me, of course.
Yeah.
Just because Greg is going to be talking a little bit about, I guess a lot about the
Reputation
how to make reputation and manage your reputation online. One last thing, we had a group of people this week who met with me who were involved in entrepreneurs involved in social media, and young group of people, probably all under 25. And I was asking them a lot about how they look at different places to post your news or to post your profile. And we talked a little bit about Twitter. I found this kind of interesting. All of them said, yeah, we really like to communicate via Twitter, and we like to communicate via Twitter. I asked them how many of them posted things on Twitter, and it was a pretty high rank. It was like 90% did at least once a day. Some of them did it 6 times a day. What was interesting is I asked, well, and where do you get your news, and how many of you listen to Twitter? and it was crickets chirping. So like, no, I don't have time
It
to
was
actually
crickets.
read.
No one's listening.
I don't have any time to read what they're, but I do like to post.
It's narcissistic.
Yeah, so I'd love, Greg, when you get up here to talk a little bit about what, is it a one-way communication medium? A lot of broadcast and no listening.
That's what I'm beginning to wonder too.
I think it is.
Is that, yeah, there's a lot of posting, but not a lot of clicking.
Yeah.
Good job,
Anyway,
Will.
guys, talk to you later.
All right.